Hi, Brett. This is Nathan. You hired me on Guru to take a look at your book. I kind of didn't bid a serious bid on this because I didn't think that you could do it. But um, I've read your book and I like what I see. Um, it needs a lot of work if you want to make money off of it, if you want to actually sell it. There are a couple of problems. For one thing, there are not enough people out there interested in Anglo-Saxon poetry. It's a pretty specialized area. Um, and the other thing you're going to run into is, people like me. I have a PhD in ancient history. I work with a lot of languages. I work with Latin, Greek, Hebrew, Spanish, German, French, and Aramaic, and a few dialects of Greek. So whenever I see someone say that they know something and discovered something that scholars don't know about, I'm pretty skeptical about that because scholars are very pedantic. We look at things, and a palindrome is pretty simple. Um, if you know the language, it's really easy to see. Now, what's not simple is taking the English language and approximating a palindrome from another language, even if that language is ancient, is Old English. That's something that scholars, in my opinion, are not willing to do. It's because we appreciate. I know that from the perspective that I come from, whenever I see poetry in any language, in my opinion, poetry is the only thing you cannot translate into modern English, the way that you've done here. Poetry only exists in the original language. That's the idea that's been driven into my head, and I believe it. That's the only place it exists because it's a manipulation of the original language into meter, into palindromes, into poetic structure, and there's just no way to approximate that in English. Yet here you have this book. So well done. I would have given my right arm for this whenever I was teaching. I taught a few courses in. I had no business doing it, but I did. I taught some Old English, not courses in Old English, but courses in Renaissance, and the formation of Britain, and some of the things like Beowulf and Caedmon's poem. Uh, they were part of the course, and I would have loved to have this. But we're talking about a high school teacher wanting to approximate in English what's happening in Old English without having to explain very much. And I think I could have done that with your book, and I would have loved it, but I wouldn't have paid for it. And so you're running into uh, you have a very, very limited, in my opinion, a very limited audience because what you need to be able to do is to sell this book to people who have no interest in Anglo-Saxon um, language or poetry, have no don't care about palindromes, um, you know, who need to see, these people that you want to sell your book to, they need to be able to see immediate value in what you have. And what you have doesn't really have, in my opinion, convincing value as scholarship. And that's not a bad thing because Ryan Holiday isn't and I'll tell you who he is in a minute. What he's not is a scholar. He doesn't have a degree that I know of in philosophy. He doesn't have a PhD for sure. He hasn't published. Um, I mean, I really don't think that he's published anything in philosophy, and I think I have more education than he does. I did my PhD thesis on female philosophers in Corinth in the first century, and I studied um, Stoicism out the wazoo. And he doesn't look like he has any kind of special knowledge. He's an amateur, which is not a bad thing. But what he did was, instead of writing a book just on Stoicism, he wrote a book. It's a self-help book, and I know that you might have issues with self-help. I know that I've had a lot of issues with that. I think self-help books just repeat stuff over and over again. But there's probably not a self-help book out there about written by a lawyer about how Anglo-Saxon poetry has inspired him and the benefits that you have from Anglo-Saxon poetry. And you can get into the palindrome and the structure of the poem because that's really cool, amazing stuff. But what really matters is how this poetry has enriched your life. If you can pull out 3 or 4 principles that you live by, or that have helped you along the way, in certain situations, like in Stoicism, teaches you how to encounter external, any situation on the external, like anything that happens to you. Stoicism teaches you how to have patience whenever stuff happens to you. So that's good if you have struggles on your job, or that's good if you want to love someone no matter what they do. If you need to forgive, so Stoicism offers to people, and I know that Anglo-Saxon poetry does too, or it wouldn't be compelling to you. It has some benefit in your life other than just enriching your mind, hopefully, or you simply don't have anything to sell. So my advice to you is to write about and think about at least 4 different ways that this poetry has enriched your life, and frame all the palindrome and all that other stuff according to how it helps you. Like you can even come up with, forwards and backwards kind of things in a palindrome. How does it help you in your perspective in life, and how has that helped you as a lawyer? And I hope I don't have my wires crossed. I'm pretty sure you're a lawyer. I work with a whole lot of people, so that's what I would do. You mentioned in your email this morning about a um, a memoir, and memoirs are really great, but unless you have some kind of wonderful experience, like if the kind of memoirs that come to mind are, a young lady that was imprisoned for 18 years by a wacko in the backyard. She was finally delivered, and she made friends with a psychiatrist that helped her, and she wrote a memoir. I mean, she had an amazing experience. It's only once in a lifetime. Only one person can have that experience. That's what a successful memoir is. And she was a first-time writer. And other memoirs are, if you're a world-renowned surgeon and you're famous for brain surgery, and you write a book about your experiences as a brain surgeon. Successful memoirs are from people who have incredible experiences that only they can have, and people kind of already know that they've had these experiences, like heads of state, right? Best-selling memoirs. But your experience can be Anglo-Saxon poetry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write this up for you. The reason why I made this video even before I had my coffee this morning. This is coffee. Before I had my coffee is because I'm so happy with what I've read. I haven't gone through yet and checked the scholarly scholarly claims. They're just unbelievable. I did search in JSTOR, which is a collection of journals. I found some journal articles about palindromic symmetry in Anglo-Saxon poetry. I can send those to you, and you can examine them and see if you've actually contributed something more. I mean, it's just not convincing at all. But if you can concentrate on you and find those principles that help other people, and I can help you do that, you're going to have a really great book. So that's my opinion. That's what I think you should do structurally. Other than that, I can't help you. I just don't see an audience for this. But well done. I made this video before my coffee, like I said a minute ago, in one take, because I respect what you did, and I wish you the best, and thank you for hiring me. I'm going to send you some resources. I'm going to send you the articles that I read this morning, and I'm going to send you a little brochure, a small book about what I do for authors. I can take you from what you have now and craft it into a book that will that sell reasonably. I only do 2 books at a time. I'm wrapping up 2 books now. I'm going to hopefully sign a contract today for a book. And if you're interested, I can make you an offer. I'll send you a proposal, and takes my process takes 3 months, and I can take you from I can shape this into something that you can sell in the marketplace. And take a look at my. Um, I'm sorry, I'm a little tired. I haven't had my coffee yet. Um, Take a look at my websites, and I have references upon request. So anyway, well done. I'm really excited and happy to have read your book. Have a great day.